From Los Angeles and Nashville, get ready to go behind the scenes with Entertainment Dudes. What happens when you pair a director, a voice actor in a world, and some of the most interesting people in entertainment? You're about to find out.
Guess so. Yep. All right. Is this on?
It's on. I'm hearing you. Especially that bangy. Hey, welcome to another episode of Entertainment Dudes. We're excited for all of you who are following us and who are listening to the rantings that we have to say about all the exciting things in the entertainment world. And looking forward to some sort of sad things that we need to talk to today, but also about some of the lessons that these people's lives mean to us and the things that we get to glean from the life that they lived. And hopefully at the end of our lives, we also have a story which people can glean some wisdom and insights from to improve their lives. So, right. Cam, why don't you do the honors?
May your life be like a snowflake. Leave a mark, but not a stain.
That's obvious. I like this.
Yeah, it's deep. Of course, we're talking about, this year's already starting off with some tragic celebrity deaths. Betty White, today actually, as we're filming this, would have been her 100th birthday.
So close.
Yeah, so close. Betty White, Sidney Poitier, and Bob Saget. So we can talk a little bit about them because they all made huge differences and defined their generations in their own way. And in the case of Betty White, several generations. Betty, when she was first starting out in the entertainment industry, she made the rounds to the movie studios, and they all turned her down because they told her she wasn't photogenic. Can you believe this?
Come on.
No,
anyone
seriously.
Whose smile can light up the entire world.
Seriously.
You could just film her smile, and literally that would be enough.
So, that, as we say, the cheese moved. She's like, well, they're not hiring me. Where else? And so she looked into radio, where being photogenic didn't matter. And she became a sitcom actress, basically, on radio before sitcoms were on TV. Like, she's been in the business
that long.
That long.
Yeah.
And that eventually led to a TV hosting gig, and eventually led to her own radio show, and then TV hosting gig, and then her own sitcom, Life with Elizabeth.
Betty White in Life with Elizabeth, featuring Del Moore.
It was originally a local production, and she won an Emmy Award for that, and the show went national on the network, syndicated from 1953 to 1955, and she was one of the first women to have complete creative control of, in front of camera and behind camera for a TV sitcom. And you think about that, going from...
what year was that?
1953 is when
1953.
She did that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I believe she was in her mid to late 20s and still living in her parents' house at the time.
Yes. And now today people say that, yes, of course. Like, what? You're only in your 20s? Where else would you live?
Right. Yeah.
You can go.
It just shows you how she overcame that early adversity and didn't listen to people. And now she is, for generations, one of the most respected actresses of all time, and went on to star in many successful TV shows, and had her own sitcoms several times. Was an integral part of the Mary Tyler Moore Show, an influential show. And, of course, the Golden Girls, and merchandise for Golden Girls is still selling like hotcakes.
I bet even more this year now. Like,
yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
One of my favorite roles I saw her in was in The Proposal with Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds. I just loved her as that grandma. I don't know why.
Yes.
Just she's out in the woods doing the dance, like geez, it was so funny. Like every role that she was in, you knew it was going to be enjoyable, and you knew that whatever performance she gave, it's going to come from the heart. It always felt like that's where it came from.
Yep.
And I don't think you have that kind of joy and that kind of love of a craft and do it for so long without genuinely caring about what you're
Right.
doing and about the people you're doing it for. So,
Right.
I mean, you see that. And one of the things I think is really cool and a great lesson to take from her is what Cam already mentioned is like, you just said it, it's overcoming the obstacles. And no matter what field that you're in, no matter what you're doing, there's going to be obstacles in your way. Some of them are psychological obstacles that happen to you when you're a kid. Someone who says, someone who didn't believe in you. Someone says, oh, they're societal, real or imagined. There's whatever those things are that you're going through. It's your choice about what you do to overcome the obstacles. And at that time, there weren't women that were in charge of
No.
TV shows and series and didn't have creative control. Are you kidding? So,
Right.
seeing somebody like that, I love that. She went around and knocked and got rejected. And I think in this industry, you have to get used to rejection, because if you're an actor and you're going to auditions, you might have 50, 60, sometimes 100 auditions before you land a role. You have to get used to that. Same thing if you're trying to get funding or investment for a film or whatever it is. And a lot of times we can make excuses, which is something we're going to talk about a little bit. And those excuses are the things that are limiters. I don't think condition is a limit. It's just something that gives you an opportunity to be creative and come at it from a different approach. And I think that is something in her life that is really fantastic. And it spoke to me in a way that I think she was somebody who lived a life that was like, she went out and changed life and didn't wait for life to change her. So I think that's the thing that I want to take from it. And something that's important is I think I want to live a life that changes life itself, that challenges life itself, instead of just waiting for it to happen to me. You happen to life instead of life happening to you.
Sidney Poitier, the same thing.
Same.
He challenged the status quo, and even Denzel, I think, wrapped it up when he said, before Sidney, African American actors had to take supporting roles in major studio films that were easy to cut out for certain parts of the country, but you could not cut out Sidney Poitier out of a Sidney Poitier picture.
No.
He defined that. He was the first African American actor to officially be nominated for an Academy Award. He took what society wrongfully trivialized and gave an opportunity to so many actors that followed him. You cannot ignore how important and pivotal that he was in the American entertainment industry.
Well, and I think he's one of those characters very much to me like a Muhammad Ali or, or Sammy Davis Jr. or somebody who is so powerful in their presence and in their form. Like the first time I remember seeing him was in To Sir with Love. And I think that was just a really powerful story, and it transcends to me time. It's a timeless classic because it deals with those elements of human nature, and it deals with us as people. And I think no matter what kind of actor you are, who you are, if you can find ways to connect with the heart of individuals. I've been to about 40 countries around the world, and people are the same everywhere. I mean, we love our families, we love art, we love music, we love crafts, we all want an opportunity. And I think anytime that you are connecting with your audience in a way that brings truth to where they are, you're gonna reach the hearts of so many people. And he was so powerful and just memorable. Like when he was on a screen, you cannot watch anything else. It's just
talented.
You're just waiting for him to say something. Morgan Freeman's the same way for me today. I just wait, whatever he's gonna tell me. I'm just like, just talk. Like if he would just do, like if he just said, "Good night, you had a great day today. Tomorrow
is CNN."
Yes, tomorrow you're going to do some spectacular things. I'll wake up like, yes, I will tomorrow. So, an incredible life, and also obstacles to overcome. Challenges that were in his way. And why are we talking about it today? Why are we talking about life achievement awards for somebody like, with him? Why are we talking about a life that he lived? Because he had to overcome, he had to persevere, he had to push through. Those lives inspire me. His life inspired me. His message inspired me. What he did was such an inspiration in terms of not just his craft, but his ability to say, I don't care where you try to put me in. I don't care what lane you try to stick me in. I know what I'm called to do.
Right.
And what I'm called to do, I'm not going to stop.
And excuse my French, he was to hell with boundaries.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So seriously, and it needed to happen.
Yeah. And it's great. It opens up so many doors and so many opportunities and so many new characters, rich culture and texture that can be added to the tapestry of storytelling, which is just, it's beautiful. And it's a part of our story, our collective story. So, an incredible life, and a life that could have had plenty of excuses. He had plenty of excuses to make, reasons why I could not because. And and a little bit later, we're going to talk about some of those excuses that we might have ourselves, especially in this industry. What are those excuses, and kind of what can we do to overcome them? So sometimes I think you use humor. Humor is an incredible way. If you're not the best looking guy in the room, you're not the strongest, you're not the most money, personality, talent, and the ability to make people laugh also tears down boundaries. Which leads us to
Bob Saget.
Yes.
Very successful stand-up career, but known by millions of people as, Danny Tanner on Full House. That show defined a generation.
He wasn't the original. They wanted him, but they couldn't get him originally, right?
Right. And there was another actor, the name escapes me right now, but you can actually watch both pilots and see they eventually got Bob Saget, and he was just perfect for the role.
Yeah, he was perfect. And especially, like you said, if you watch the two of them, one right after the other, you could see he just brought a kindness to it, a warmth,
a humanity,
a love,
a warmth, a reality to the show. Grounded a show that sometimes had stories that weren't necessarily reality, but he made the show very, very grounded and loving.
He anchored it, which is interesting because speaking of reality, he moved straight from Full House. I mean, then of course we all know America's Funniest Home Videos, which is reality's first, like some of their first films. It's sort of like today's Instagram and YouTube was when you go to watch America's Funniest Home Videos. And I had a friend that they won first place in the show, and they got to meet Bob, and they were out, flew him out here and did the whole show. And I just think that the writing for me and was always so painful. Like you have him so great, like his comedy, and then you have him in the show. You have that. It's like, my side, I was still like nauseous from some of the little one-liners that I didn't even remember the video that came afterward. But
I think that's the style of the even when they used to have the blooper shows on TV. You had the two hosts or one host, and the liners would be so. Ugh.
But why though? Is that to make the stuff more funny? If they're like,
I think
this
so.
Isn't really funny video, so we need to have a really bad joke to make this funnier.
I think it's part of the formula. I really do.
Probably. Well, I remember it for its. I remember it. I mean, if you're like, we need them to remember this. Well, I mean, I remember.
Yeah. But
and I remember I had to take Tums sometimes. I was like, oh god.
But Bob, one of the things that the people that I've seen have been looking at tributes to him, all week. And one of the common themes is he was a loving and compassionate guy and cared about people, which means you don't have to run over everybody in your pursuit to be successful.
That's true.
You can do it with love and compassion and lifting those people that around you up with you as well.
Yeah, that's so true. I just think, you see so many people that steamroll their way to the top and they crush people. And I did see that too in a lot of the comments that are about him, especially his fellow actors that were with him on Full House and a number of others. They just always said that the kindest person in the entire world, like he would do anything, take his shirt off his back for you and give it to you. I was watching an interview, which was really interesting. Not that he did maybe 2 weeks before he passed, where they were talking about Betty White. And he said, what's interesting about death, you never know when it's going to happen. You don't know when it comes. Wow. But you just want to make sure that you've lived a life that that no matter when it happens, you did it well.
Right.
So I just think that's another thing. What do you have in a legacy? You don't have any guarantee for time. Time is probably one of the most important things that you have. Like, what are you doing with today? And I think that rolled into my theme for this year. And I think it's just kind of that gut sense that this is what the message that we can learn as a society right now is intention. Intentionally doing things with your time. What are you doing with the time that you have? Be intentional about it. There's so many things that are pulling us and distracting us from families, from friends, from sometimes even our calling. And whether it's YouTube videos, that's my poison, Instagram,
Yeah.
whether it's video games, tons
TikTok.
of TV shows. Yeah, it takes us away from it, and it helps us to be less intentional with our time. And it's sometimes it's easier to do you deal with life, like what's happening right now, or can I just
Right.
get lost in this thing? And so that's something that he always had, is that idea of an intentionality in what you're doing and doing it in the service of other people. What can help our society right now better than kindness and generosity towards each other? Living a life that says, hey, we're in the same boat together. We're doing this journey together. I'm going to love you no matter where I am and help you in that capacity. And so I think of seeing a legacy at the end of my life, if people can say that this person lived a life of kindness and service and love, no matter what I've created, no matter what I've done, I think I'm a successful person.
Yeah.
Regardless of what I accomplish or achieve, I'm successful. And that's the question. What makes a successful human being? And I think, again, it goes to overcoming adversity and demonstrating love and care for others on that journey, So I think,
which is actually the most important thing. You can have all the accolades in the world, and then at the end of your life, you sit down, and what matters are the relationships you had with people.
Yeah, who's in the room? Who's in the room with you on that last day? What kind of life did you leave an impact? And it doesn't even have to be because I did the most movies, I did this. It's just the people there said, this person loved me and cared about me and lived a life that, that impacted mine in a way that was powerful and profound. Yeah, who's there with you at the end?
Even Carol Burnett said about Betty White, the whole world loved Betty White, but the last word that she uttered was her husband's name.
Yeah, and he died a long time ago.
Yeah.
30 years ago.
But it shows you how supportive they were of each other and the love she still experienced for him. He made a mark on her.
Yeah.
She made a mark on him. So.
Yeah. And he stayed with her.
Yeah.
I imagine that scene, when she finally gets to see, I wish there was a camera in heaven, the pearly gates, the doors open up, you hear the choir, oh, and it's 10 times the choir as usual. And everyone's who the heck is here now? Who is this? And the door opens and everyone's like, oh, she's here.
Except Daddy. With you, it'll be rock guitars.
At least it's not. I'm thinking about pans, bang, 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 bang. What's that horrible sound?
No, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you to these, I guess, pioneers who have come before us in life and in industry that have left their mark and their wisdom and their stories for us to talk about and share and to reflect on. Some lived long, full lives, and some left early. But regardless of when that timing is, they did leave lives that impacted us.
Huge ones.
Yes, huge ones. And I think one thing I'd really like to talk about, I guess just roll really quickly, and the segue to this is back to excuses that we make that prevent us from being able to succeed or to move. I have often had, people in life that might tell me, you need to stay where you are. You can't do this, or it's just, there's too many limitations. You get it from family, friends and stuff. And I reject anyone's advice or opinion who tells me I have to stay where I am or I can't move.
And many successful people, that's a common theme throughout their lives. People told them they can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they did anyway. And proved everybody wrong.
The travesty to me that I feel is when people believe it.
Right. You can't
and then they believe it. And it's that's almost worse, because somebody could tell you can't, and you can be like, whatever, reject. And I think the hardest thing for me anyway is to put, to say that's an excuse I'm making, is when it's my own personal experience.
Right.
Like if you're trying to get a film made for 10 years in Hollywood, or you're trying to do something, trying to close money for a company you're working on, or, and you're running into a wall continually or something blocks, then yes, you can begin to get self-doubt. Yes, you can begin, maybe that's not my thing. Maybe I'm not supposed to do that. Maybe there's something else for me. And that goes back into understanding purpose. Why are you doing it in the first place? What is making you and motivating you to do that? Because it has to be strong enough to overcome those doubts. those excuses that we have. And I read a fantastic book. Here it is. This book is phenomenal. It's by a guy named Dr. Wayne Dyer. It's a #1 New York Times bestseller. It's called Excuses Be Gone. And this book is like it's like getting into the boxing ring. And the gloves are just getting called out from
Right.
pages. But it's really profound and it's really powerful, and it's an awesome reflective look at yourself and what excuses emotionally, subconsciously,
right,
that we place on ourselves, or that society or our family, schools, whoever, our friends. It's
right.
amazing the level of influence that our friends
Yes.
have on how we think and what we do. I heard a really cool analogy about this, is how important it is about the friends that you choose is if you're standing on a chair and you're trying to pull 3 of your friends up on the chair with you, or the 3 of them are trying to pull you off the chair, which is easier.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost impossible to pull your 3 friends up on the
Right.
chair when the 3 of them are pulling you off. So
Right.
same thing in terms of what the influence that they're doing. What are they trying to achieve? What are they trying to learn? Are they stuck in this cycle of excuses? Examining right now is a great time to examine those people that we chose to surround ourselves with, because whenever you go through crucibles in life, we're doing a crucible together. And I think you get a chance to see the type of people that you're with. Did they rise above, or are they stuck? And some of the things he said, I guess there are about 18 of them that he covers, common excuses that we make that prevents us from doing something that we feel called to do or really strongly called. We won't go over all 18 of them, but the first one is that it's going to be difficult.
Of course, yeah.
Is that
we both experienced that.
Yes. Who else has not experienced difficulty? It doesn't matter in this profession. It could be any profession. Like, you want to be a doctor.
Right.
Yeah, you got a difficult long road ahead of you. You got to go to
Exactly.
school for like 16 years and then do your residency and everything. It's hard. Life is hard. It's tough. And anyone who tells you differently is telling you something. I don't know if you can catch what that's from, Princess Bride. And a lot of times we use that as an excuse. We'll use it's difficult as an excuse. Yes, it's going to be difficult. When you go to the gym, in order for your muscles to grow, they have to tear. You have to have those little micro tears in your muscles. Micro tears are good for you. Strong tears, like those aren't, but micro tears, in order for your muscles to grow, they have to tear. I call those difficulties that we experience in life, life's gym. And sometimes you don't get your trainer. You don't know who your trainer is, and you don't get to decide when you go to the gym. Today you're learning patience. No, I don't think I'm going to be patience. You're going to the gym, life's gym. You're learning patience. Difficulties are the things that are like life's gym, that are going to tear us, mold us, make us, and get us ready for the next chapter of our life. The things that you're called to do.
You don't necessarily see that in someone you admire or a famous person, or you don't see everything beneath the water, like that picture of the iceberg, and just the tip is showing, but the bottom is all the hard work and the foundation of that. A phrase that I grew up hearing all my life when my parents were in the entertainment industry. My dad was a music producer, and my mom a songwriter and singer, and we talked to people, and it's like it took them 20 years to become an overnight success, because you don't see the hard work, blood, sweat, and tears that goes into becoming what you can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's one time you'll see somebody says, "Oh, they came out of nowhere and just suddenly they were famous."
But they didn't.
No,
they
did not.
They worked for it.
And if they did not have those 10 years going into it, and they have that success, they're not going to have a foundation that enables them to stay at that level. They'll crumble and fall, because there's nothing that it was built on. It was just a rocket to the top, and then one-hit wonders. They're there, they disappear, the band is gone, you never heard from them again. Oftentimes it's because that foundation was not laid. And what is the foundation? It's the overcoming the difficulties that they faced, regardless. It's the rejections. It's the relationships that they built. It's the one story that didn't work, but they made a great relationship with this person, and that person started something else. And it's a building. This is not a sprint. It is a marathon. And you have moments where you're sprinting, but predominantly it's a marathon. And one of my things my dad had said, in order to overcome, he said, Jason, it's one foot in front of the other. It's just one step. And I think Martin Luther King said it. I love it when he said it. He said, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. Whatever you're doing, however you do it, keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Just keep that mindset. So whatever's coming, right? Well, I can't fly because I no one's accepting me into this thing. I can't get anyone to look at my resume. I can't. Then you're crawl.
Right.
You're not flying right now. You're crawling. And just keep crawl forward. Denzel said.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. When Denzel said, fail forward.
Yes.
Yeah. When he was doing that interview, I think it was the University of Pennsylvania, that commencement. And he said, what do you fail forward.
Fail forward.
Yeah. Because you're going in the direction of what you're trying to do. You're going to fail. If you're trying something hard, if you're trying to overcome difficulties, you will fail. You will have failures, but those failures can propel you forward.
And in obstacles, there's two ways to look at those obstacles. You can look at them as a learning experience, or you can look at them as a wall you can't pass. And some people say, it just seems like I make strides ahead and then I get pushed back. Then I make strides ahead and I get pushed back. And what I tell people when they say that is like those times when you're being pushed back, that's not a bad thing. That's kinetic energy. You remember those little cars you used to have when you were a kid?
Yeah, you wind them back for them to go forward.
And then they would go forward.
Micro machines.
You need those, right. You need those little times where you feel like you're being pushed back in order to propel yourself forward into the future. You learn from those times. You store up
and the
energy during those
longer
times.
you pull that car back.
Yes. The faster and further you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you always want to do it before you hear those springs go boing, boing,
Yes.
boing, boing, boing. And sometimes we feel like that. I'm like, oh, my springs are broken for sure.
Yeah.
And it's like, why isn't it going forward? Like, well, you took it too far back. So.
And I feel with actors too, a lot of those failures are also a little bit harder because the mindset of a lot of actors is the imposter syndrome. Even when you are successful, you get this feeling like, am I qualified to do this? So that makes it even harder to get through and overcome some of these things. You just got to tell yourself every day, yes, you are qualified and you can do this. And you were born to do this.
Yeah, and oftentimes other people in the room are all thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
So you might not be the only one in that room that's thinking, like, they look around and they see all the people like, oh, geez, do I deserve to be here?
If you love it, do it.
Yeah, do it. And don't
do the best you can at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Another excuse he talks about is that we make is, it's going to take too long. Like, this is going to take too long. Again, that goes back to, it's a marathon,
right?
Not a sprint. Sometimes you're sprinting. You want to be ready when you see the finish line or you see those moments. You want to get ready to sprint. But I think if you're going into the approach for the entertainment industry thinking you're going to get into it instantly and suddenly you're going to have tremendous amounts of success right away, you could end up being really disappointed. Sometimes it happens. Some people, sometimes it does happen. And there is no right or wrong way. There is no, this is how you do it. A lot of times you see people, we'll show you how to do it. They can show you a way to do it that may potentially work for you or not. Oftentimes the things that are consistent is determination, the willingness to do what is necessary in order to achieve the goal, serving other people, and jumping at every opportunity you can get, no matter how big or small, as long as it is in alignment with your long-term goal. Then you will be successful. You'll be a successful individual. You'll be successful pursuing your craft and your career, and you'll also be generating opportunities for yourself that will prepare you for when you are ready or when that moment does come.
And when you say something will take too long, then what are you doing? You're either doing something productive or saying something is going to take too long and do nothing while you're wasting the time doing nothing.
Yeah, instead of training, could I be training?
Don't waste your time, right? Don't waste your time.
Yeah. That goes back to intentionality. Yeah. What can I be learning right now? I've been directing for a long time now, and one thing that I'm learning a lot right now is Unreal, the Unreal Engine and the live LED.
That's Unreal, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Live LED production and how that process works, because it literally changes so many things. And I'm actually learning how to do that myself so that I can speak the language when I'm working with the visual effects. When I'm working with people, I know what they're talking about when they need certain elements. I know how to create those ideas while I'm doing it. So even while I'm waiting for something else, I'm still always trying to find how can I improve myself now to make me more valuable in terms of what I can offer. I can charge more. If I go in as a director competing against another director and I was like, I know Unreal Engine, I can create the backgrounds, create the templates, I can work with them. I know how this works. We can do this, versus somebody who hasn't done that before. I increase my value when the opportunity does come. So
and like George Lucas, James Cameron, I mean, they've never been afraid to go beyond the boundaries of what a traditional director would do. Mm-hmm. They innovate.
Yeah.
You know, so many things in movies today were developed at ILM. And then you look at James Cameron, you know, he doesn't just make a movie about Titanic. He actually goes and does deep sea underwater exploring himself.
Yeah. So he can know down to the
Yeah. So they,
I think he relished the challenge.
Yes.
Like they go after the challenge. If there is no challenge, they make one.
Right.
Like, there's no challenge. This, what can I do? Let's go. Not only am I going to go deep diving, I'm going to be the deepest. I'm going to go to the very bottom of the Mariana Trench, the deepest that any person has ever gone.
Yes.
I'm doing that. Regardless of the risk, I'm going to happen to life instead of waiting for life to happen to me. So I hope that this episode encouraged you. It'll be great to come back later and to look at some of the different ones. There's 18 of them in this book. And I suggest if you haven't read Wayne Dyer, he's really, really fantastic. And it helps give you a great foundation. If you're really unsure about yourself, if you have a lot of challenges in your life and you have a lot of negative inputs, it's a fantastic place to get your feet onto something that you can stand on, so that then you can go from there to the next step of your life and your career, even relationships. And it all takes place with the one thing that you can control, and that is your response to a situation. You can't control sometimes what happens to you, but you can control your response to what happened to you. So on the next coming episodes, we got some really fantastic guests. We're going to be, like we mentioned before, we're going to be talking to some actors, some producers. We're going to be talking to some more visual effects artists. And we are looking forward to those upcoming interviews and looking forward to find out ways that they have overcome their excuses and are making their mark on the industry. And we are excited that you joined us today.
Yep. And don't let seeds, that negative seeds that somebody tries to plant in your life, don't let them take root. Just get rid of them immediately and say, I will do what I love to do. I will do what I was born to do. And no matter what anybody else says, they're not me. They're seeing it through their eyes. I'm seeing it through my eyes. And I can do this.
I'm taking that to the bank. Thanks, Cam.
We're gonna link that book in the show notes, and so you can you find it on Amazon, or I guess where any book.
Yeah, any store.
Sold,
I got mine.
right?
I think it was like $7 or something like that, and it's worth. I would pay $100 for this book.
Yeah,
it was fantastic. So, write us in comments and drop us a note if you read anything from it, or if you've had any experiences or stories. We love to hear from you guys. So feel free to reach out to us, and look forward to hearing from you how you overcame. So until next time.
Yep. Be like Betty, Sidney, and Bob.
Be like Bob. Be like Sidney.
Be like Betty. So
Betty.
Happen to life. Don't let life happen to you. You happen to life. Be a creator.
Entertainment News.